All right, guys, welcome into the Kodiak Broncos Podcast. I am your host. I am the Kodiak, and today I'm here to talk about 3 more moves that the Broncos need to make to win the AFC West. I truly believe they can. I think the Chiefs' reign is as good as done as long as we do everything correct for the rest of the offseason. But before I get into it, I just want to say a couple things. First of all, leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're not already. My comment question of the day is, do you expect us to win the division? There's a difference between hope and expectation, and I would say, as of right now, I don't necessarily expect us to win the division next year. Now, within the next few years, absolutely. But do you expect us to? That's all I'm asking. Follow me on Twitter if you like what I have to say on here, at Kodiak Broncos. Let's dive right into it. So, now real quick, punter is not on here, even though we do need a guy who can, hold the football for Will Lutz, and we need a guy who can punt the football down the field. Obviously, that's something that any NFL team needs, but there's nobody available right now that I'm just like, yeah, we add them and we're instantly division champions. Like, no, that's just not a thing. So, number one, So of all the free agent running backs available, J.K. Dobbins is the only one that really interests me. And we also need to pair him with a running back within the first 3 rounds as well. So here's a disclaimer. I'm not trying to portray myself as a J.K. Dobbins stan. Like, even if we do sign him, yes, I would like the move, but it's not like I think he's going to really change our whole offense. I haven't really been in on J.K. Dobbins throughout this whole offseason. But when I see the other names available, like Nick Chubb, Deontay Foreman, Ezekiel Elliott, who are possibly the other best names that could be available, Cam Akers, I'm just like, yes, J.K. Dobbins sounds very good to me. And J.K. Dobbins did really well last year with the Chargers. Granted, it was a little easier since, he was playing hardball football and, it was basically run the football down the other team's throat, smash mouth style of play. And, they just wanted a power run all day long. And J.K. Dobbins really did well last year, especially considering that he has had a million injuries throughout his career. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want him to come here, is that it seems like he just gets a million lower leg injuries, or he's had a million lower leg injuries throughout his career. And honestly, with a medical staff as ours, like, yes, we can help prevent those, but we can't unbreak his ligaments. We can't untear his Achilles from 2 years ago. Now, granted, what I will say, he looked good this past year, so I'm not concerned about any injuries that he may have had in the past. He's definitely not going to be signed to be a long-term solution by any team remaining in free agency. Even wherever he goes, like, I would be very shocked if he got anything more than a 1-year contract. But there are like 50 draftable running backs. So the second part of this is, draft a running back in the first 3 rounds. This makes sense to me, but I want one of Genty. I want one of Omarion Hampton. I want one of Trevion Henderson. I want one of Quinshawn, Caleb, Sampson, Neal, Giddens. Like, there are so many other names that I could throw in there as well. And I would just be like, all right, if we were to sign J.K. Dobbins and then draft another running back within the first 3 rounds, I think that's an ideal way to make up our running back room next year. Now, what I will say is that I don't really have a preference. I don't really care. If we want to trade up for Genty, fantastic. If we want to kick the tires on a guy like LaQuint Allen on day 2, cool. Also good to me. But I think we should go into next year with only one of Jaleel McLaughlin or Audric Estime on the roster. The reason I say that is because I know that a lot of people are fine with keeping Jaleel and Estime around, because I think Javonte took a lot of the heat this past year. But to be completely honest, I didn't think Jaleel or Estime were much better. And Estime, during the playoff push, he was only getting like 5 or 6 touches a game. And he was deactivated for the playoff game, so that kind of shows you how the coaching staff feels about him. But Jaleel McLaughlin, I will say, he did not, fumble his opportunities, no pun intended. He didn't, completely vanish. There were a handful of games down the stretch where he was our most effective running back, which is good news for him. But we only need one of these guys, especially because, if you want to talk about us upgrading the whole run ecosystem, that's not invalid. But I only think one of these guys is actually able to play in the NFL. And right now I'm leaning towards Jaleel. I know that we're going to benefit from, having a real tight end room and having a real intermediate passing attack. But still, I just think that one of them should be on the team next year. This past year was basically in audition for 2025, especially because the running back room was wide open and nobody was really able to take advantage. So, all right, one of you can come back next year. I'd even throw Blake Watson into that grouping as well. So, to add one more wide receiver. So, I understand why Sean Payton is high on this room. And once again, I 100% believe him when he says he is. First of all, no Denver sports media, personnel people are, as adorable as Kay Adams. So, unfortunately, Sean Payton is not going to give us the insight that we truly want. But whenever he speaks to her, he just spills the beans on pretty much everything. God knows what reason why that is the case. But let's just be completely honest. With Sean Payton, I 100% believe him when he says he's high on this room. Or he's not necessarily high on this room, but he says it's better than a lot of people think. And I 100% believe him when he says that because I know that he's excited about all these guys. I know that he's excited about the playmaking ability of Marvin Mims. I know that with Courtland Sutton, if he was not on the team the past 2 years, like I don't even want to know what that offense looks like. With guys like Vele, with guys like Franklin, I mean, I think Sean Payton has done a really good job of, being able to temper his expectations when it comes to late round rookies. So that's kind of where I think Sean Payton's head is at with the room. Now, they did add Trent Sherfield, but he's not really a replacement for anybody besides Lil Jordan Humphrey and Tremont Smith packaged into one. So that's absolutely fantastic. And I know that Sherfield is going to be a guy that Sean Payton absolutely loves. But what I do think we should do is adding one more wide receiver is preferably an X of Courtland Sutton's type or similar. But there are a lot of slot guys that I like in the draft. Like I like Ricky White out of UNLV. I like Will Shepard from CU. And we do need a long-term succession plan for Courtland Sutton. And the reason I'm not really big on, a White or a Shepard is because I feel like at best that's just a re-roll on what Troy Franklin is or could be. But Sherfield is going to get his reps, and I can see Sean Payton falling in love with him. But ultimately, our succession plan for building our wide receiver room needs to be a long-term plan at the X wide receiver. And also, one is plenty. One wide receiver is plenty, and then we'll have 6 viable dudes. And any more than that would be a complete waste of resources. I mean, if they were to bring in a UDFA, why not? Maybe the UDFA can win a spot during camp. But I think 6 is plenty going into next year. Number 3, we need to add a true nose tackle. So 2 of the top 3 teams in the AFC completely ran us over on the ground this past year. Baltimore and Buffalo, they showed why it is so desperate and so imperative that we get a true nose tackle. DJ Jones and Malcolm Roach, I like them, but they are not true nose tackles. And honestly, when you're going up against teams like the Chargers, who just added Mekhi Becton to be on the interior, you need a guy who can just literally be a road grader. You need a guy who can just stand there like a rock and not move. Because honestly, it sounds like I'm oversimplifying, or I'm way underplaying the responsibilities of a nose tackle in the NFL. But at the end of the day, you kind of just need to be in the way. And if we just found some really strong, really big dudes, that's honestly, I feel like I would feel so much better about our run defense heading into next year. Once again, it's just DJ Jones and Malcolm Roach. They are good. They are large individuals. They would tower over me. But against big offensive lines and big interiors, they are a personal mismatch. So the theoretical addition of whoever we add at the nose tackle spot could offer literally 0 pass rush. And guess what? I'd still be happy. I'd still be happy if they could just literally clog the interior, because honestly, that's the only thing that we were missing against teams like Buffalo and Baltimore last year. So here are some names in mind. Kenneth Grant is somebody who we would have to use our first round pick on, and I'm still of the belief that I think the Broncos should use their first round pick on a defensive lineman. I think the positional value is just way too good to pass up on, especially because this is a very deep defensive line class, deeper than years at the interior especially. And also, this Cameron Jackson dude, he's from Florida. I don't really know a lot about him, but whenever I'm going through like the PFF mock simulator and it's like round 6, I literally just go through the biggest defensive lineman available. I sort by weight, and whoever it is, I just click yes. And then it's reported that Cameron Jackson came in at the combine at like 330 pounds. So that's absolutely fantastic there. Would be a really, really good force on this interior defensive line as well. Overall, I just think that these are 3 things that we should do before we really have those discussions on whether or not we can win the AFC West. Because I truly believe we can. I truthfully, in my honest opinion, believe that we can. Once again, not something I'm expecting, but I expect us to show a lot of improvement as a team next year, especially because a lot of our issues have already been solved. We found a tight end, we found a linebacker, we replaced PJ Locke, all of which were very, very important to me this past offseason. But yeah, honestly, this is really exciting for the Broncos, and I'm really happy to see what comes of this. I'm really happy to see what comes of this, and now we have the draft to look forward to. So that'll be another fun month and a half of looking forward to that as well. But yeah, that basically does it for me. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.